Okay. We learned the Sico of Shabbos Pasha Shemos, the 23rd of Tevis of the year 1960. Tafshin Chav. Again, today, L'chaim is the yahrzeit of the Alter Rebbe, L'chaim. So it's a little farbrengen in connection to the yahrzeit of the Alter Rebbe. The Rebbe says like this: my father-in-law, the previous Rebbe.
It was my mother's yahrzeit last night.
What's her name?
I mean, yesterday and the night before. Yeah.
What was her name?
Rosa Razel.
Bas.
Oh, Yosef Chasha.
Yosef Chasha?
Yosef V'Chasha.
Oh, Yosef. So her name is Rosa Razel Bas Yosef.
Well, Razel was her Jewish name.
Yiddish name.
She didn't have a Hebrew. Yeah.
So Razel Bas Yosef then Sham Shavan Aliyah. Okay. So it says like this. The Rebbe says like this. You're welcome. My father-in-law tells the story. B'Shem Ziknei, in the name of his grandfather, which was the Admir, the Rebbe Marash, Reb Shmuel. Sheshol es Aviv Tzemach Tzedek. He asked the Tzemach Tzedek. This happens to be also the Hayom Yom of today, meaning the 24th of Tevis. Ma Rotza Hasaba Admir Azokin im Darkei HaChasidus. What did the Alter Rebbe want, the grandfather, I mean his great-grandfather, the Alter Rebbe want with Darkei Chasidus? What does it mean, Darkei Chasidus? The ways of Chasidus. Umar Ratza im Chasidus. And what did he want with Chasidus? So what did he want with the teachings of Chasidus and with the ways of Chasidus? The Tzemach Tzedek answered his son, the Rebbe Marash, as follows. Darkei Chasidus, what does it mean, Darkei Chasidus? Hainu, it means Shekol HaChasidim Yiyu K'moi Mishpach Achas, that the Chasidim should be like one family. Al pi Torah ba'ava, in a way of Torah, in an appropriate Torah way, with Ava, with love. Chasidus hi chayis. I'm sorry, ba'ava, with love. So that's Darkei Chasidus. The Darkei Chasidus is that the entire group of Chasidim should feel like one family, should be like one family, with Torah and love, in a way of love. Chasidus, and what is Chasidus? Chasidus is chayis, is vitality, is life. And the hachnis, chayis, ulahachis kol davar. And the idea is to insert chayis, vitality, to give life to everything. Even the negative. What does that mean? The negative. How could you give life to negative? Is the chayis in the negative is leida oides harash batzmai. Be aware, know, be conscious of the bad within you. It means know yourself, know your struggles. Why? Why is it important to know it? Because only then you can fix it. If you think everything's perfect, so there's nothing to fix, or you're not going to fix it. But when you recognize your shortcomings and things that are the negative within you, so then you could start to fix it. So the Rebbe now is going to explain. This is
Can all. I just, since it's just me and you,
sure.
Tikkun HaNefesh, Tikkun Olam. This rabbi that has Jewish broadcasting service, he said Tikkun Olam is Tikkun is not really part of basically of Judaism, and but yet we have these concepts, and we want to correct ourselves and make the world a better place.
I can't speak for that rabbi because I don't know what he's referring to, but maybe he's referring to what's classically known as Tikkun Olam today. But the world of this is a world of Tikkun. The whole world is a world of Tikkun, a world of fixing. And like the Alter Rebbe says here clearly, the whole idea is to fix yourself. And we say it in Aleinu, Sakin Olam Malchus Shin Dalad, to fix the world with Hashem's name. I think what he's referring to, again, I have no idea who this rabbi is, what he's referring to, could possibly mean is what has grown today as an idea of Tikkun Olam that's walked away from the classic idea of Tikkun that we know traditionally in Yiddishkeit and Judaism all the time. But definitely in Chassidus and definitely Chassidus Chabad, the idea of Tikkun is that's the whole idea. Like he says right here in these 5 lines. When the Rebbe Marash asks his father, what did the Alter Rebbe want with Chasidus? And Darkei Chasidus is to have Ava, to have love between each other, and to know yourself and know what you have to fix. That's how he described it in one. But let's see, the Rebbe is going to explain it. The Rebbe says like this: Piskam Hanal. The Rebbe says this idea, this story, or this interaction is Shaykh Liyom Zes, connected to today. Again, today, this is the Hayom Yom of today. Liyos Hayom, because today, the 23rd of Tevis, the Rebbe says, is the day Shlifnei Chof Dal Tevis, the day before the 24th of Tevis, which is Yom Hailul Shad Mazakin, which is the Alter Rebbe's Yartzeit, which is today, or tonight today. Ubagdama, the Rebbe wants to explain. Sheitzel called Ish Yisrael, with regard to every single Jew, Nishlamos B'Yom Ha'istalkus Hashlichis Shahoysa Neshama Tzricha Lamalis Ba'al Midain. The idea of a Yartzeit is, the Rebbe says, that on a day of a passing of every single person, when they pass away, whenever that time is in their life, at the end of their life, is the day is a completion. Nishlemais, it completes the shlichus of why your neshama came to this world. I mean, your world came with a mission, and hopefully you've done your mission. But whatever it is, that's the completion of your mission. Of everyone has a purpose. But specifically, Eitzach tzadikim, when it comes to the righteous, shem achim emal shlichus b'payal. It doesn't just complete it, finish it, but they've actually done it. That a tzaddik, he or she will have done exactly what was expected from them in their lifetime. Tzaddik Hashem tzidkos ohev. That the tzaddik he's a tzaddik with his love. He's complete. Because here the Rebbe says an interesting idea, which one may ask. He goes, this is also true to souls that come down in various reincarnations. It's known what the Ariyah Kadosh says, that Arizal already said 500 years ago, whenever, that most of neshamas today are not new souls. It means we're recycled souls that we've been down here before in different situations. They're already in this world, and they come down a second or third or fourth or fifth time. And now it came in another Gilgal, another reincarnation. But what we know is, what's revealed to us, but at the end of the day is we don't know. We're not involved unless you speak to Kabbalists who could say that your neshama comes from another neshama and you have something to fix. But most people are not aware of what their life was before. And all we know is what our job is to do here. So the Rebbe's point is that even if you have a Gilgal, even if this is not your first or second time in this world, it has nothing to do with the fact that in this time that you're here, you have something to fix this time or to do this time, and that mission has to be completed. And
so when somebody, the phrase an old soul, does that mean that the person has a lot of stuff to fix? Whereas if it had been maybe one simple fix or two, then they'd be done with Gilgul?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Alter Rebbe brings down in Tanya many times that he says that when it says that person should always learn Shalol Lishma, even if you have the wrong intentions or not the right intentions, because eventually you'll learn the Shema, you'll learn with the right intentions. The Alter Rebbe says clearly in Tanya, in I think chapter 39 or 40, that in this Gilgal or the next Gilgal means that that even things that you do in this time could express itself in the next Gilgal, but it doesn't change the fact that each Gilgal has its mission. But again, and I know this is hard to understand, and especially now what happened on October 7th, but I know I heard from a friend who heard from Rabbi Steinsaltz, or from her father, I forget who, but she lost a child in a horrible car crash, and I was there at the time. And he said that when a soul passes away that kind of, in a horrible way like that, and it's so young and didn't do anything, that whatever it was, we don't know what it is. There was something that the soul had to come down for that short time, and that's it. That was its last time. But most people, hopefully, who live 120 years, whatever it is that they have to continue doing, for whatever reason. But the Rebbe's point is that your Gilgal right now has its own mission. It's not just part of a long story. It could be there's reasons why your mission is the way it is, because you didn't do everything right the first time. But right now, this is your mission of this time.
Right. Well, there's a different feeling about saying a person has a mission versus saying that they're here to fix, all kinds of things that need to be fixed, and they keep coming back time and time again because they keep needing more fixing and more fixing.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but at the end of the day but this time, like for instance, that Rizal writes, I didn't see it inside, but I remember reading that someone mentioned the name of that Rizal, that a lot the generations of the Crusades that went through, whatever happened then, that they were threatened with either convert to Christianity or will kill you, and they killed them in many of the cases. That Rizal said, it's obviously doesn't add up with the numbers because maybe just a lot of souls were combined into one person, but he says that was a tikkun for the generation of the first temple that served idols, that they needed to have a tikkun, and therefore the Arizal said that the tikkun for the first Beis Hamikdash, the days that people served idols, was already fixed in the times of the Crusades. Again, I mean the numbers that we have of how many people were killed in the Crusades, I think are far less. I mean that what I assume from the Navi of how many people served idols, because there was a lot of Jews then, but.
It's also been said that the Jews that died in the Holocaust, and Rabbi Schachter Shalomi said that they would go into, the Neshamos would go into Christian or non-Jewish bodies. That's what it was available, at the time, and so there were a lot of people killed in the Holocaust who were immediately reincarnated into the generation that just came. I mean, not too long ago, that generation.
I'm not large enough to know, about those things. I just know what Arizal said. I don't know what Reb Schachter said, but
Well, it isn't the first time I've heard that idea, but he added the part about going into.
But I think the Rebbe's point over here is about the Gilgul, that even though that we're coming back to fix something, and even the Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya that you could be fixing even the low lishma. That means there's things that you do in the first in a previous time that actually affect that actually affect the second time, that you'll end up learning lishma because you learned in your past life shalom lishma. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change the fact that this time frame that you're here for, whatever the time is has its mission. That's his point. And it says, and that mission finishes, if you completed it, either you have it or you haven't completed it fully, finishes with the passing. So now that's the Rebbe saying in a general case. The general case is a tzaddik. A general case is every person, even a person who has been here many times. But here we're talking about the Alter Rebbe. When it comes to the passing of the Alter Rebbe, where we were told clearly by the Baal Shem Tov that the soul of the Alter Rebbe was the first time; it never came down before. It was the first. It was a new soul. Ki super Baruch, as was told over at length. Al derech ha'achana, the preparation shahaiset tzricha liyais koidim yiridus nishmasai ba'al medain, the special preparation that the Baal Shem Tov had, and with the family and the couple and all his own chassidim, in order to bring down this new soul. Behesim l'seider achana shal neshama chadasha. Because it's a big deal in our time. Maybe in the early times not, but in our time, it's a big deal when a neshama chadasha comes to this world. So therefore, surely when a neshama chadasha comes down to this world, it means it's this first time the neshama did the mission in this world, is bevade even for sure. Yom Istalkusai, his passing, who gemar kol shlichas ba'almadein, he really completed everything because he was never here before. So therefore, the Rebbe
wait
says,
a minute. When he came for the first time, how does that mean he completed it from before, if it was the first time?
No, he completed it in this time. That means that's why when his passing, when the Chav Dal Tevis comes, it means he completed, because he's not just completing other lives. This is his only life he completed, because it's the beginning. He was the first time he was here.
Well,
so
what about the idea that all of the Jewish souls were at Mount Sinai?
Yeah, but it wasn't in this world. And actually, someone was saying yesterday, I was at a Fabrengen last night, someone was saying yesterday, I don't know the makor of it, that, there's a question is if different souls were at the time of the Eitz Hadas, at the time when Adam, because all the souls were within Adam Rishon. So we know the famous story that Reb Zusha said, that he flew away, his soul flew away from Adam. He didn't want to be part of Adam when he ate from the tree of knowledge. But someone was saying yesterday, I'm not sure the makor of it, but that the Alter Rebbe was also not there at the time. And Neshama Chadasha wasn't there, only in Neshamas. I'm not an expert in neshamas, but what I'm saying is that the point here is is that the Rebbe is saying is that if this is the first time the soul came down, so it's for sure completion, because that was the only time. This is the first 70 so years the Alter Rebbe lived in this world. Is that soul's never been here before? So his yard side
But
is
maybe it would be never been before, but maybe it would be after.
That's a good point, but yeah, but the yard side is about the first time. So and there is talk, a story. I'm not sure if I read it in the Rebbe Sichos or just in a sefer, that the Tzemach Tzedek had a grandson. Rebbe Marash had a son called Sender, who passed away at 8 years old, and the Tzemach Tzedek said he was the reincarnation of the Alter Rebbe. So it means it could be it came out a second time, but his yard side it was on the first time in this world.
Yeah, the Dalai Lama, as I'm sure you know, is supposed to be reincarnated every time. A new Dalai Lama is the reincarnation.
I'm not going to talk about that. That's not Jewish stuff. But either way, let's go. Vaz b'gmar shlichus u'sala neshama yachad im kol anyanim shepa'ala ba'almedain. And therefore, the neshama elevates on the day of the yard site for all the things that the soul did in this world. The sharsha yosei naila, to its high source. Page 274. He says, "Ukshem shadvarim amurim b'yem mistalkos." Just like that happens on the day of the actual passing, it means 300 so years ago. Sorry, not 300. It's actually, we know exactly how many years ago. It was 211 years ago. Every year on the yard site. As the Arizal says, on the pasuk that says, "V'hayomim ha'elu," these days means the days that we remember, like a holiday, is niskarim v'nasim. When you remember a holiday or a yard site, v'nasim is as if it happens again. Any time of the year when you remember, and that day something happened in the previous time, is when you properly remember the thing that happened then. Hadvarm kidibai, it means properly you properly celebrate, whether it's a yard site or a holiday. As nasim, it's like it rehappens. It happens again. It means that all the completion, all the elevations that happened in the day of the histalkos happen on the day of a yard site. It happens again. What happened on the day of the actual passing of the tzaddik. That again, there's this whole great elevation. That's the idea. But we know that it's yard site is a special day, even not just for tzaddikim, even for parents. That's why we say Kaddish. Here he says that's why even according to Nach Hasidus or Kabbalah, but even according to Halacha, in Nigla, that's why we say Kaddish on the day of a yard site. Even though that we only say Kaddish on the actual year of the death for 11 months, we don't say 12 months. Because the idea is that even though the max a person could be judged, or a soul could be judged after his or her passing is 12 months, the custom is that we only say 11 months to not make, God forbid, our parents Rishayim. So no one says Kaddish past 11 months, even though in theory it could go into 12 months. But the idea is that we say for sure after 11 months everything has already been fixed and all the negativity or the judgment has already been nullified. Alpha became so you would think so. Why do we say Kaddish after yard site? The Rebbe asked this question a few times. If the whole idea is that after 11 months you've completed everything you have to do with Kaddish, why again comes yard site? We say Kaddish again. Alpha became the first year, and after that every year, 30 days later. But the yard site. Each year after that, on the day of the yard site, we say Kaddish. What's the point? We already completed everything. Why? He says, Kaddish, what's the idea of saying Kaddish on the day of the yard site? It's not to nullify the dinim. That was already accomplished the first 11 months. Because right now there's an elevation of the soul, and the Kaddish helps with the elevation of the soul, because on the yard site, the things happen again. It's not that once a soul passes away, that's it. Every year on the yard site, there's a higher elevation for that individual. So, why are we saying there's an aliyah only on the yard site? We know a person always elevates. Kiyadua, that's the idea that's brought down, quoted from the Kuti Torah, that it says, every day we're kadosh, chol yom, mikol makom. Those are minor aliyahs compared to the aliyah elevation that happens to the soul on the day of the yard site. then the elevations are a totally different level. Each year is a totally different level, and the elevations within the year are within level, within range. And you go really deeper each year, deeper to know within a whole nother level. I guess there's an infinite amount of levels within the root. Because aside for the idea that there's an elevation of the soul and everything that they've been involved in their life gets elevated, then that happens by every Jewish person, he or she. So the Rebbe says, "Yeshna ini noisef etel elu shenemra aleim nemru." This is specifically something unique about those individuals that the verse says that ma zar b'chaim afu b'chaim, and we don't say that about everyone. We say that only by tzaddikim. That a tzaddik, that when they're zari b'chaim, their children live, they still live, like it says by Yaakov Avinu. The Gemara says ma zar b'chaim afu b'chaim. As long as the children are living in the ways and the message of the tzaddik's still alive. What does it mean the children are alive? That they're avoida, not just that they elevate their avoida, but they're actually avoida. What they've done in their world while they were here is still affecting people even after they pass away.
But you know what? I don't know why that wouldn't apply to everybody. Like, I was thinking Chaye Sarah, the children of Sarah. I mean, after she died, it's about Chaye Sarah, about her life, about Yaakov, about his life. It's not just them, but it's the spiritual life of all of the descendants, the whole people, not just individual special people.
100%, 100%. As long that's the whole idea. The more influence you've had on people while you were alive, and that people are still living with that legacy, means if you're a person that's introduced ideas and inspired people to do avodas Hashem, and they're still doing it even after you pass away, it doesn't make them into that individual. By a tzaddik, it's much more, because a tzaddik has been influencing a lot of people while they were alive, he or she. And Sarah, of course, was influencing people. As long as people are taking energy from the life of Sarah today, if that's affecting how you perform as an individual, Sarah lives. And that's Zara B'chaim. You're alive, and you're living in her legacy, and she's inspiring you and affecting how you make choices in your life. She's still alive, 100%. And that's what he says, Gidulin v'gidulin v'gidulin. It keeps on growing. Shebiyayim ha'ilula. So especially for people who've had this influence, then it comes the day of a yahrzeit, Nasis Aliyah Gamba Gidulin v'gidulin v'gidulin. But not only does it elevate the tzaddik or the individual, it elevates the people that are following in the footsteps of these people. Shehayim Talmidav v'Talmidav Talmidav, whether it's the students or the students of the students or the students of the students. Alter Rebbe passed away 211 years ago. People are still learning Tanya. People are still learning Tanya. People are starting to learn Tanya for the first time. People are being changed by Tanya today for the first time, even though it happened 211 years ago. And specifically in the past 15 years in Eretz Yisrael, surely there's been an explosion of people who've been studying the Alter Rebbe's Torahs and Chassidus in general. So Shehem Oilim L'Shar Yisrael, they elevate with the Alter Rebbe, with the tzaddik, because when the tzaddik is elevated on this yahrzeit, the Rebbe, this is a big theme. The Rebbe talks about a yahrzeit, that it's very important to be makusher, connected to the tzaddik or the individual on a yahrzeit, because when that person elevates, he or she elevates everyone with him. And therefore, it's an elevation for those people who are being inspired and living in the derech, in the way of the person that's taught them. Therefore, he says, the Rebbe says, so the Rebbe is talking now on the 23rd, getting ready to celebrate and to remember the 24th. Now we're already in the 24th. The Rebbe says, when we stand before the day of the yahrzeit of Admar Zokin, of the Alter Rebbe, anyone who has an elevation. Sharna, you and I learned the Alter Rebbe's Chassidus once a week Torah. So tonight, when the Alter Rebbe is having his Aliyah, elevates you and me as individuals. So therefore, Sha'az Nasim Gam Aliyah L'Kol HaShaychim Elav. Everyone who's connected. What's it mean connected? To learn his Torah. Matim. Therefore, it's an appropriate time while you're having this elevation with the Alter Rebbe to think Lachshev, release Bainin, and to contemplate Ma Hayer Tzaynish Adam Zakin. What's the Alter Rebbe want from me? And therefore the Tzemach Tzedek answers his son and his grandson. The Tzemach Tzedek, who was his grandson and also a student of the Alter Rebbe, learned from him directly. Even though in the chain of Rebbes, it didn't go right from the Alter Rebbe to the Tzemach Tzedek. There was his son Dovber, the middle Rebbe. Mikol Makom HaTzemach Tzedek, Kibel HaTzemach Tzedek, Mi'admar Zaken B'Ofen Yashir. Nevertheless, the Alter Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek didn't receive from the Alter Rebbe through his uncle / father-in-law, the middle Rebbe. He had his own direct relationship with the Alter Rebbe. He taught him, he took care of him, he raised him. Kidu HaSipur has known the story. Shebeglal she'imay shel Tzemach Tzedek, because the mother of the Tzemach Tzedek, the famous Devorah Leah, Masr Nafsha, she gave her life. B'makom Admar Zaken, so her father could live on. There was a gzeira, there was a kitrug on her father, and she accepted the kitrug on herself, and she passed away right after Rosh Hashanah, and she made a commitment, Hiftiach la Admar Zaken, and that she asked Alter Rebbe to promise her, to teach her son, who was a young boy, and to educate him. Just like a father would teach his and educate his son. That's what she wanted from her father, even though he had a father still alive. So therefore, the Alter Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek, could say clearly that you want to know what the Alter Rebbe wanted from Chassidus, and those are connected to what the Alter Rebbe's mission was, and get elevated on the yardstick of the Alter Rebbe, is lahor gam salai taiv. It's not enough just to connect to the good, but to light and to elevate the negative within yourself. Leida, to know oidis harashabatz, know what's wrong with you, the things that you need fixing, because that's the only way you could fix it, is by being aware. So he continues, he says in Gimel, V'yuvin will understand this, what my father-in-law, the previous Rebbe, said, B'Shem Aviv, in the name of his father, which is the Rebbe Rashab, which is the son of the Rebbe Marash, the Rebbe Shmuel. He says that he once asked, what was the difference between leaving Egypt in a simple way and the idea of leaving Egypt according to Chassidus? Like he says in Yiddish, the Chassidus Yetzias Mitzrayim. Yetzias Mitzrayim, the literal translation of leaving Egypt, Haisa B'derech Shvir Vaziva. They had to break Egypt, right? 10 plagues broke Egypt and the Egyptians in order for them to cave in and to let the Jewish people out. What does it mean to leave Mitzrayim according to Chassidus? It's not to break it, but to be mevarer, to separate, to elevate, to fix. What's the idea? Yetzias Mitzrayim, it comes to Yetzias Mitzrayim, it's brought down, the Pasuk says, 17, in our Parsha, Hashem tells Moshe, Mitzrayim, you have to save Mitzrayim. Kidua Pirish B'zeh, it's known. What does it mean, according to Chassidus and Kabbalah, to save Mitzrayim? That's the idea, the famous idea. Mitzrayim is called Nitzutz L'Kedusha. There was many of the 288 sparks fell in Egypt, and they were taken out with the Jewish people when they left Egypt. Well, in Yishru Sham Nitzutz Kedushas Klal, there was nothing left. They took everything out. That nullified the whole entity, the whole being of Egypt. They had not one spark left. Therefore, the commandment of Torah was you're not allowed to go back to Egypt. You're done with Egypt. That doesn't obviously there's a lot of questions based on that. Why did people live there, and why was the communities there, and why was the Rambam there? But we're not going to go into that conversation. But the idea is that Egypt was done. Klaimer, they say that the Rebbe said, and this is the people who are in the know, who are part of the central organization of Chabad, said that when they asked the Rebbe about going to Poland, the Rebbe said the same idea, that we're done with Poland. I mean, whatever we had to do in Poland, we're done after the war. And I saw clearly, I saw a video where someone came by the Rebbe and asked the Rebbe that the Rebbe should send people down to revive the community of Poland. And the Rebbe says there's nothing to do in Poland. The Rebbe is saying, if you want, for the Jews that are there, of course you have to help them. I'm not sending down people to set up institutions, new institutions in Poland. We're finished with Poland, the Rebbe said. You see it on video. So same idea. Claimer, B'Yetzias Mitzrayim, lo nifla aliyah b'Mitzrayim. Eras haaretz elarak hoitziu misham es nitzutz kedusha. We didn't elevate Egypt. We drained Egypt. We drained Egypt of all their sparks. Vilu b'Mitzrayim atzva nas inyan shel shvira. But so what was left? You broke Egypt because it was you sucked out all anything holy there. But when it comes to Chassidus, what is the idea of Yetzias Mitzrayim within our life? It doesn't mean to break it, but go out of your limitations. Don't break your limitations. On the contrary, those limitations that you have, The struggles, what's the limitations? The things that are holding you down, the struggles that you're struggling with, should be elevated themselves to kedusha. This is what the Tzemach Tzedek answered his son. Shakavona the Torah Chassidus. What is the kavona? The whole intention. This is not just one idea of Chassidus. The intention of Torah Chassidus is lahayr l'saknis ra'atzma. You have to fix it. The Gemara teaches us the sins themselves have to come themselves something as chus, a merit. Everything has a spark of godliness in it. Even the life force of the three levels of tumah, not just the permissible that you can elevate, but even the things that are actually negative. You have to refine it. How do you refine it? By avoiding it, not by indulging in it. And therefore, he finishes off. Let's just go a little further. The Rebbe says, let's go a little further. The Rebbe says, based on the Farbrengen of Yutas Kislev, the Rebbe says, that we said the Torah Admar Zaken, that the teaching of the Admar Zaken, he says, he Torah Baal Shem Tov. This is the Torah of the Baal Shem Tov. That the Alter Rebbe took the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov and brought it down to the level of intellect. It's not just the intellect of the godly soul, but even the animal soul should understand. That understands the idea of Chassidus is to be not to break the body, but to refine the body. This is what he says. This is an idea that we have from the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov. He says, "You do a teres Baal Shem Tov." It's known the teaching of Baal Shem Tov on the verse Kisira Chamar Seinach, when you see the donkey of your enemy. So the Baal Shem Tov teaches Kisira Chamar, when you see a choimer. When you look at your form, at your materialistic side to yourself, Shehu Aguf, which is the body, Azaitir, you're going to see Seinecha, your body, so to say, doesn't want to do holy things, wants to go for worldly things. True sinus and neshama, doesn't like the godly soul. It hates it. Because the godly soul only wants godliness and spirituality. The chamor, the donkey, this is a teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, is falling under the weight of the want of the nefesh elikis. It doesn't want to go with the nefesh elikis. It's a heavy desire to go to want only godliness. Hamasa the Torah mitzvahs, the yoke and the weight of Torah mitzvahs. It's like a weight for the body. It's too lazy, it's too hard to carry. Can you think that you have to break the donkey? The Baal Shem Tov says you can't break the body and say, if my soul wants to be holy, I'm going to break my body. The way a person should do it is you have to help the body. Together. We find it. You have to find a language that you could elevate and talk to the body, that the body should understand it. A person would think that if you just learn the Torah of the Baal Shem Tov, you'd be thinking Baal Shem Tov is only talking about the permissible, that you could focus your power of things and make it holy. When it comes to bad, maybe the Baal Shem Tov says, yes, bad you have to break. That therefore the Alter Rebbe comes and adds to that. In the teachings of Chassidus Chabad, it's not you can't just, even the bad has to be refined and fixed. Also there is a spark of God that has to be fixed. We're going to stop here. Good Shabbos again, Chaim for the yahrzeit of the Alter Rebbe.
Yeah.
And may he be a good advocate for us at everything we need, begashmis and beruchnis.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.